Ken, you enjoying the banter that Sheeds is putting up at the moment, talking about your recent 5 losses and seeing it as a game that they really can win?
Oh yeah, no, look, not really. It's not something I focus on. Obviously, he's very good media performer, Sheeds, and he does his job for the GWS. I've got my job to do here.
Do you think someone should remind him he's on about a 15-game losing streak?
I suppose that's not for me to remind him about, but that might be factual. I don't know, but that's we've got to work about. As I just said, we've got to worry about what we've got to do well.
Do you see that as more than just a media performance, but a way of sort of like putting pressure on your guys because when they're expected to win, they might tighten up?
He's an enormously experienced coach, so I'm sure he'll be using every little trick that he possibly can to. I can't question what Kevin Sheedy does. It's just he's done it over a long period of time, and he'll do what he needs to do. All I can do is keep saying I'm going to control what our team are able to do.
But is that something that the players have brought upon themselves from last week's result?
Oh no, not so much from. I mean, over the season, we've had the 5 start and the 5 losses, so that always happens in footy. I mean, the pressure always continues to build. But we know there's only one way, you stop that, and that is you have to do certain things on game day that allow you to get in a different position.
I don't mean so much on the 5-5, but the fact that you're leading at half-time, pressure builds once you see an opposition come at you. But maybe the players have got to be stronger in that environment. Yeah,
no, I would have thought we're probably almost the opposite to that most times. If you look at our season so far, we've actually been the side that's had to do the chasing most of the time. So we've got great confidence in our ability to finish games strong. We made a really positive start up in Darwin in our first quarter, which we thought was significant. And now we just got to make sure we put 4 quarters together, and that's the key for us.
Did you talk to the boys about last year's loss that was obviously so devastating?
No, I haven't, not at all.
Ken, with obviously early in the day selection later on, but the ruck situation, obviously we've seen you talk about it before every game. Where do things sit right now in your mind?
Look, I doubt that Redden will be obviously one available to play, and Renouf probably needs another game, so that will almost make force our decision a little bit with Lobes. So I'm predicting that Lobes is probably going to play in the ruck and be the sole ruckman as a ruckman selected. So that's probably where we'll end up.
We need some support. Obviously, Westy can go through there, but is there another guy that needs to play?
Oh yeah, no, we certainly can. We need to have to support him, and Westy's the obvious one that can probably go through there. Butcher can certainly go through there. We've seen him play at the Magpies in the ruck for a few moments in games, so he's another one that can go in there. But that's probably the way we'll end up going.
What have you guys gained out of the week off?
I suppose for us the important part is you get to freshen up a little bit, and we've been able to do that. Boys have had 2 or 3 days, 3 or 4 days away last week away from the club to freshen up. You can just tell that since Sunday they've come back, they've trained really well. Sunday we've had Sunday, Tuesday, and we're actually going to get to train again today. So this is almost, from a coaching point of view, this is the perfect week. You actually get to do some football training, and you not have to worry about looking after the players and how much work they've had to do. You actually get a week where you get to prepare them the best way you possibly can, and that's what we feel like we've been able to do so far.
Did you feel their attitudes are tired a little bit, 5 consecutive losses?
Yeah, I don't know whether certainly some of their results perhaps show that, but I keep saying the opposition put a fair bit of pressure on us too in some of those losses, and no doubt every side at some stage, they do feel a little bit of fatigue, and the break for us was at the right time, and we needed to make the most of it, and hopefully we're going to.
Ken, while you've looked over those first 10 games, in this 2-week period you had off, did you think about how you reevaluated some of the players and the roles they play?
No, not really. No, not really. I mean, we've looked at some, and obviously we know we haven't got the personnel. It's significant, isn't it, the change in personnel from round 1 to round 12 this week. There's a number of different people in the side, and there's some people in not as good a form, and there's some people who are starting to show some better form. So they're the sorts of things that we've evaluated. But we know it's the whole footy season. You're always going to get some fluctuations, whether it be individual forms or team form. We just need to make sure that we get things back together this week the best way we can, and I've just spoken to the players right now and said that it's going to be about what we do, not what they do. It's going to be about what we're prepared to do this week, and that's what we know makes us a good side. The behaviours, I keep saying in these things, that the behaviours that we need to bring are simple things for us. They're not hard to recognise. They're us competing hard to win contested footy. They're us tackling well, and they're us being brave with the ball. They're simple things that everyone knows that I've spoken about since I've been here at Port.
But could you also freshen up by giving guys different tasks to do? Instead of playing at half-back, playing midfield, vice versa, things like that?
Oh, look, again, I think we've done that right through the season. We've had players that we've tried to put them into different spots to help them through either some lack of form, sometimes to give us some team structure that we need, and that will always be the case, and we'll continue to do that. We'll see players in different spots, I'm sure, right through the back end of the next 12 games.
Ken, I know you've put your time into GWS. What concerns you about them? What do you need to worry about?
I suppose for me, I've got great knowledge of a young side of the Suns, and I look at what they've been able to do in the back half of last year and what they've been able to do this year. And if you look at the two sides, almost line them up together, they're very close in what they've been able to do, I think. And I know that confidence comes with these young players, but they're still, for them, they've got to win. And you can see the difference that winning can do to a young side versus the losing. What I do know is that they play risk-free. Actually, they don't get inhibited by anything because they're young. They're a young side, willing to take the game on. Their coaches, and I've been one of those coaches in the past, their coaches are full of encouragement for them, and they want them to continue to develop. So you don't want to go and stifle their development early. So they get to play with a bit of freedom. But certainly this side we come up against this week, their strength is that they like to play that contested, combative style of football, which are going to hold them in good stead once they develop even further.
Ken, I think Jackson Trenko's been on long-term during this for maybe 5 weeks. How's he tracking?
He's been there for too long, unfortunately, but that's the injury he's got. No, he's going really well. We just actually had a scan yesterday, and the scans come back that, with what's been done, the surgery and everything, everything's tracking along really well. We expect Jackson back. Oh, look, I'm hopeful in 2. It's probably more likely 3.
Any SANFL time, or is he a player that can just come straight?
Oh, look, we'd like to think that as a leader of our club, like most leaders at most clubs, we've missed him. We'd like to get him back in the side ASAP, but that will be done based on what's the best rehab for Jacko. We're not going to take a risk. For him, he's a long-term player for this football club. We're not going to, for 1 game or 2 games, rush him back. But if we think he can add to us straight away, we would certainly do that.
Can you talk about GWS sort of thriving on confidence and playing risk-free? How important is it then to really get onto them early and squash that? Yeah,
we seen last week what they were able to do firsthand when they scored 5 goals to zip against Geelong in the first 10 minutes of the game. So, they're a very capable young side that, given some space, they can hurt you. We need to make sure, and what we just spoke about, we need to make sure what we're doing is what we know keeps us in games and makes us competitive in all sorts of games, whether it's against GWS or whether it's against Geelong. We need to make sure we display the same sort of traits and actions that you want to see.
How's Kane Collins going? Is his finger much of a concern?
No, it's a really simple one. I mean, I'll show you my fingers. They've got bends and twists in them. We've all had them at some stage. There's, that's a simple football injury that doesn't stop anyone from playing. It won't be any issue for Kane.
There's a fair bit of debate going on. We haven't heard your views yet. Port Adelaide on a reserves team. Where do you think that fits for you as a coach?
Oh, there's no doubt the best method, the best model, is that we have all our players playing under the Port Adelaide umbrella. That's all I can probably say. But that stuff's being worked through. That's Keith and David's. They're going to work through that stuff. For me, I know what's the best model for a coach, but also there's lots of things to work through with that. There's lots of things to consider. It's not just what I want as coach.
Have you got a feel of what competition's best for that role? Do you need them in a league competition?
The best competition you can possibly get them in. And we know that we certainly understand that the SANFL is one of the best competitions you could possibly get them in.